Bob Avakian, Revolution, number 48. Liberalism, progressivism, opposition to injustice, and Zionism. You can't have it all. You can't hold on to Zionism. You can't be a supporter of Israel and be consistent in opposing injustice and atrocity. In the context of the genocidal war that Israel is waging, with the full backing of the U.S. against the Palestinian people, a number of quote-unquote liberal and quote-unquote progressive Jewish supporters of Israel have expressed dismay or even outrage over the fact that people opposing that genocide are on the opposite side from these quote-unquote liberal and quote-unquote progressive supporters of Israel. Some of these Zionists have even suggested that they have been deserted by those who were previously on the same side as them in opposing discrimination, police brutality and murder, and other injustices in this country. But in reality, it is these Zionists who, in their continuing support for Israel, have deserted, in fact betrayed, the struggle against injustice and outrageous atrocity. Zionism is a Jewish supremacist ideology and political program that justifies the founding and continuation of the State of Israel on the basis of carrying out the continual brutal oppression and repeated massacres of the Palestinian people, which has now reached undeniably genocidal dimensions. As I have sharply pointed out before, especially now, in the context of the genocide being perpetrated by Israel, I stand with Israel means I stand with genocide. As I have also pointed out in my previous message, number 47, Zionism and the Zionist state of Israel represent terrible perversions of the best traditions of Jewish people, including the orientation that never again, the cry of Jewish people in response to the genocidal massacre of Jews by Hitlerite Nazi Germany during World War II, means never again must this happen to any people. At the same time, this is why it is so heartening and so important to see large numbers of Jewish youth and other Jews taking up and acting on the right and righteous meaning of never again, having a significant role in protesting the genocide Israel is now perpetrating against the Palestinian people with the continuing aid and support of the U.S. As I stated at the beginning, there is the objective contradiction that it is not possible to be a Zionist and a supporter of Israel while at the same time consistently opposing injustice and oppression. I first ran into this contradiction nearly 60 years ago now, as part of the radical movement in Berkeley at that time. To a great degree, the people who made up that very positive movement were Jewish radicals, socialists, and communists of one kind or another. So much so that one time, one of my Jewish friends in that movement said to me, "I can't believe you're not Jewish." But during the so-called Six-Day War in 1967, between Israel and a number of Arab countries, I got into a discussion with one of the people who had been active in opposing the war the U.S. was then waging in Vietnam. As this discussion went on, it became clear that this person, who was Jewish, was defending Israel, not only in regard to this Six-Day War, but more generally in its relation with the Palestinian people. I was totally shocked, because as I said to him, all the arguments you're making in support of Israel are exactly the kinds of arguments that we oppose and refute in confronting people who are supporting what the U.S. is doing in Vietnam. Yet here you are, making those same wrong arguments in support of Israel. he really did sound exactly like those rabid supporters of the genocidal war the U.S. was waging against the Vietnamese people. In the time since then, and especially now, with the genocide Israel is perpetrating against the Palestinian people in front of the whole world, this contradiction has become even more blatant and acute. You can't consistently oppose injustice and atrocity and outright genocide while continuing to support the State of Israel. For all those who are determined to stand and act consistently against injustice and oppression, it is necessary to fully break with any illusions that you can do so while still supporting Israel, since the right of Israel to defend itself, and indeed its right to exist as a Zionist state, has always meant and will always mean terrible oppression and atrocities brought down on the Palestinian people, which is now being carried to horrific genocidal dimensions. As I have emphasized in these messages, the answer is definitely not to kill off all the Jews in Israel or drive them into the sea. The answer is the abolition of the State of Israel, and in its place, the creation of a revolutionary state in which the government and the laws do not promote any religion and do not favor one people over another, and instead there is equality between Jews and Palestinians. The answer is also definitely not the two-state solution being promoted by the Biden administration. Such a two-state solution would really amount to nothing more than a powerful state of Israel continuing to occupy land stolen from the Palestinian people, while the so-called Palestinian state created with this solution would be a bitter joke, a puppet state, merely a patchwork of separated small territories surrounded and dominated by Israel, with the Palestinian people still subjected to terrible oppression and deprivation. The answer is that the fight against the State of Israel must be waged on a revolutionary basis, with the goal of putting an end to all oppressive relations and all inequality among people based on race and nationality, sex and gender, and all relations in which one part of society exploits others. And the urgent need is for a revolutionary force to emerge to lead the struggle on that basis. As difficult as it may be to achieve this solution, it cannot be dismissed by declaring it unrealistic. How realistic is it to think that the profound contradictions involved can be positively resolved in any other way? And right now, how realistic is it to think that anyone can take a principled, firm, and consistent stand against injustice and atrocity while continuing to support the State of Israel or its right to exist as a Zionist state, which is the only way the State of Israel can exist?